Hello, my fellow movie maniacs, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Day in Film Minicast. Today, I watched Y Tu Mamá También, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Forgive my pronunciation, I'm not a pro, but it is directed by him. So, Y Tu Mamá También is one of those films that I've been meaning to watch for ages now. Just because of all the buzz I've heard about it online. It lands pretty high up on Letterboxd's top 250 list. My mom is a huge fan of this movie, and just generally I'm a big fan of Mexican film, and I was very, very happy to find out that this is a notoriously good one. So I went into this movie with very high expectations, and geez, were those expectations met and even surpassed, I'd say. So, Y Tu Mamá También follows two high school seniors, just 17-year-old friends named Tenoch, something like that, and Julio. And in the way that older teenagers are always written in movies, they are both incredibly horny and end up trying to hit on the third main character of the movie, Luisa, and eventually do get her to go with them to a fake beach. And what follows is an emotional journey through their hormones and through their relationship and through their opinions and things like that. And this is truly a road trip movie. A little known fact about me, I love road trip movies. I really don't watch a lot, but every time I get one, they always leave a little permanent spot in my brain, like Little Miss Sunshine or Into the Wild. Movies like that, for some reason, tickle this part of my brain because I guess I just love the idea of going on a road trip and just constantly talking and about whatever, just shooting the shit, basically. And most of this movie is shooting the shit, and the other half of this movie is completely erotic and just as horny as you think a movie starring two 17-year-olds and a much older woman would end up being. So that's probably one of my favorite things about this movie, is how realistic it feels and how realistically it's written. It's very difficult to write dialogue that feels this realistic and immersive to just experience. At times it almost feels like you're a fourth passenger in this car, and just watching all these characters divulge all this information on each other, some of it being rather sensitive and other parts of it being just senseless and just nonsense and just again shooting the shit. But the movie perfects itself in the eventful mundane. A lot of this movie is just driving down Mexican countryside that looks beautiful, with a bunch of people living in what's basically their own world, doing their own little job. You know, they've lived out there for years now, and, you know, they've only been to the city a handful of times, and they're just doing what they do. They're farming, or they're running their restaurant, or whatever it may be, and I think there's something really beautiful about that. Y Tu Mamá También captures that sense of a lack of responsibility. All three of these characters are in some way fleeing a responsibility that they previously held, and watching them all deal with, you know, said aftermath is beautiful and harrowing. You know, again, these characters feel very real. You could definitely meet these guys in high school, or even before that in college, or really anywhere, which is beautiful. This movie is beautiful. The cinematography is unbelievable. I don't think they even owned a tripod when making this movie. It was made on like $5 million or something. And the way the shaky cam always looks, and I have no idea what they shot on, but again, this whole movie just looks so nostalgic. There's something about this whole movie that feels so familiar. Now, granted, what I'm about to say does not apply to the erotic scenes, but it feels like something you would watch on, like, your grandpa's, like, VCR, and you'd be like, oh my god, there's, like, my young mom, and there are my young uncles, and, oh my god, is that, Cousin Terry? You know, it's silly little things like that, but it feels so familiar. You know, they're just driving to the beach, and, you know, it's like a 4-day drive, but they're still just driving to the beach. And when they finally get there, it feels like an emotional climax in and of itself. You know, they did this just to bone, and they actually got to a beach. And it feels like, even if it's just for like a scene or two, it feels like on that beach they discover who they really are, which is beautiful and fits tonally wonderfully. I think the fallout between the two is incredibly realistic. Just the way that they kind of get under each other's skin in such a quick instant. These guys have been friends pretty much all their lives, and in what's only 30 seconds, it's completely ruined, even if the ripples take a while to really affect their bond. The scene near the end of the movie where they're just shooting the shit at a bar, kind of drunk, it feels so... It perfectly foreshadows what you know is going to happen, which is a complete disdain for each other after that night, with no sense of being able to fix it, because they're so just fed up and done that they don't even have the effort or ability to argue anymore. They've both grown in their own ways in the span of that short trip, and they've realized that they're incompatible, that they're barely even friends anymore. And having this be spurred on by a woman who realized that she is wasting her life for literally nothing is beautiful. This movie is about living one's life to the fullest, even if it means being an emotional wreck, or even if it means being sensitive or emotional. It tells you that no matter what, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing in life, there's nothing stopping you from dropping it all and just living. These characters choose to live. Even if that living for Luisa is only a couple more months, it's still living, and I think that is beautiful. The score is pretty good. The mixture of pre-existing Mexican music and interwoven original soundtrack pieces does fit really well, and it sounds really good too. I don't know if Frank Zappa scored for this movie, or if Frank Zappa has ever even scored at all. I just remember hearing one of his songs in a Wong Kar-wai movie, and I mean, Happy Together it's up there, man. But yeah, this movie is beautiful. I absolutely recommend you watch it, especially if you are 17 like me. This is a very introspective movie. It makes me happy that, I mean, my life isn't perfectly put together, but my life is certainly more put together than this, and I am not a sex fiend. But with all that out of the way, I don't have much more to say. I gave Y Tu Mamá También a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent movie that you absolutely must watch. It is, if watched at the right time, going to be an incredibly formulative movie for you. Stay sensitive and stay happy. Live life. Don't let yourself live through it. I hope you all had a wonderful day, and I will see you in the theaters.